Now, your Action 8 Weather Authority forecast, sponsored by the Johnny Adams Law Firm.
All right, an active night of weather for us, and we still got a ways to go. We're taking a live look with our Johnny Adams Law Firm Camera Network. This is downtown Selma at the moment, where things are fairly quiet, but storms are knocking on the door. You've got heavy rain approaching, temperature at 68 with that south wind at 14. Fairly quiet in Montgomery at 72 with south winds at 14. So the warm front's lifting northward. We're getting into that air that's going to produce the stronger thunderstorms coming through the area. The tornado watch is still in effect until 3 a.m. That's been extended off toward East Alabama, including Auburn to Eufaula, Troy, Union Springs, Montgomery, Wetumpka, Prattville, Greenville, all the way southward to Andalusia and points westward. All right, the boundary working its way northward. That's putting us in this sector here where we'll have the storms that'll be capable of becoming stronger, potentially severe out there. And most notable, we're checking out this storm in southwest Alabama. This has now gone tornadic, and it is part of Wilcox County now with a tornado warning until 10:45 tonight as we track that storm. We'll get in a little closer here for you to show you this storm south and west of Beatrice, north of Monroeville. That is moving off to the north and east. That storm, radar indicated there, capable of producing a tornado, but it does include Wilcox County. So we'll stay with this storm as it works its way north and eastward. Right now, crossing over Alabama 41, and as it does that, the storm has the potential to drop a tornado there. So we'll continue to watch that. What we have is our exclusive scan coming from our Lifesaver radar. Nobody else has access to this. This is our Action 8 radar provided by the Johnny Adams Law Firm. Also, the folks there in Pine Hill helping us get that, the mayor, the city council as well, and our partnership with Climavision. So this is the storm concern at the moment, and there we have a good look at that. High resolution indicating this would be where the tornado would be located right there along Alabama 41. So as we stay with that storm, let's see, Kevin, we're going to switch it over eventually here to weather 1, max 1, actually max 2, and we'll go with this as we continue to track this storm. That's an active tornado warning, including one of our counties here, and Ben's going to drive the radar here for us at this point. And so what we're looking at is a storm that's capable of producing a tornado to the north of Monroeville. This is part of Monroe County and also includes Wilcox County till 10:45 tonight with that storm that's moving to the north and east at about 40 miles per hour. We do have a line of storms back westward from just west of Grove Hill towards Selma. This is going to be a line here. It looks more like a squall line type event where we're going to have a lot of lightning in there, going to have strong winds and also very heavy rain. And then we have, well out ahead of that, storms that have been quite active here in parts of northern Elmore, Coosa, and Tallapoosa County up and around Alexander City. Let's go back in closer, Ben, if we could, as we get in closer to the storm that's impacting southwest Alabama. As this storm makes its way north and eastward, maybe we'll get a check of the velocity on that. Just south of Franklin, so if you live in the community of Franklin, anywhere along that Alabama 41, yeah, there is your potential tornado there. So we'll watch that and see if this thing gets confirmed or anything. But that's southwest of Beatrice, moving to the north and east. So eventually that will cross over Alabama 265. And also, it looks like it's probably going to pass just to the south of Franklin. Let's see if we can pick up some more communities in that area, Ben, if we could, a little closer in. Again, you're looking at Monroe County here, and you've got between Franklin and Fountain. That's where our storm, at least our potential circulation, is right here. That's where we're seeing it. Axel is just to the northwest of you. This will impact places like River Ridge. Also, Scotland will be impacted. And then eventually up toward Alabama 21 is what we're looking at with this storm at the moment. So that's going to be the one at the moment, only single tornado warning out there that we have. And again, that runs until, I believe, 10:45 on that particular storm at the moment. All right, so that's what the velocity looks like. That's the winds coming toward and away from the radar. It is giving us a signature there, just past over 41. So if you live in this area between Axel and River Ridge, you should be in your safe place. The storm is capable of producing a tornado, and as it moves in that northeast direction, that will eventually impact places like River Ridge and Scotland as well. So be in your safe place. What we always suggest is putting many walls between you and the outside as possible. Lowest floor, away from windows is best, all right? So let's go out wide. We've got our eye on that storm. This, again, is parts of northwestern Monroe County and also southern Wilcox County here. So it doesn't include the city of Camden, doesn't include Pine Hill, but this is the southern part of Wilcox County. It just kind of clips it in there to the south and east, and eventually moving toward the north and east. So we look upstream from that. That storm will eventually head up toward probably Lowndes County, maybe even clipping northwestern Butler County as well on that particular path. So you got to start thinking Fort Deposit, Forest Homes will be impacted more than likely with that as well. The other thing we got to look at here is this line of storms right here, this squall line of sorts that extends all the way from Perry County back south and westward into southwest Alabama. That is going to have the potential for some damaging winds, maybe some wind damage out there as well. So power outages are a possibility with this. So if you live in these areas, and that's going to be just about all of us are going to be impacted by this line. This is the back edge. This is what we need to come on through to get us on the back side so we can get this a weather event past us. But we got a ways to go before we get there because we've got this line that's got to work all the way through West Alabama and then work its way on toward the east. It looks like at the moment, though, if you live in Demopolis and along the US 43 corridor in through Marengo County back north and westward, things are tending to settle down a little bit. But that's not the case south of there. You go from Sweetwater, Linden, all the way to Grove Hill in Clark County and in toward Wilcox County. This is where we're going to see some impacts, also approaching the city of Selma as well. Ben, you got the, let's see, we might have some cameras to pull up here as well. I'll give you a heads up on that. I think I had Selma already pulled up, and we can take a look at that because we got a pretty nasty storm there just north of town with a tremendous amount of lightning. That one is cranking it out between Selma and, let's say, Marion, up toward Valley Grande and points north and eastward. Hasn't gone severe, but it is a storm that's going to be capable of producing tremendous amount of rain and a lot of lightning with that as well. So we're looking at that storm as it moves through. Tell you what I'll do is, okay, you got it. All right. You swung it around. So, yeah, we'll take a look at that. Keep our eye on that for Selma as we look off. Looks a little farther northward here. So there you go. So we'll keep an eye on that. All right, back on the radar we'll go, and we'll just kind of take a tour once again as we keep an eye on this severe weather situation that's coming through our area tonight. Storms are going to be capable of some wind damage out there, also some tornadoes. We have that threat as well. So switch us back over there on, there we go. So we got the storm that, do you have the latest on what we're getting out of the chat there? Still looks like we have a cell that's capable of producing the tornado, but I don't know if we've got any updates from that here in the last little bit, Ben.
Yeah, so right now, all I've got is that it's radar-indicated rotation for the northern parts of Monroe County. That's where the rotation in this thunderstorm is still located. But the reason we're on the air now in a wall-to-wall severe weather mode, continuous weather coverage, is because this tornado warning does include the southeastern parts of Wilcox County. So we were talking about it a little bit earlier today, the new exclusive radar site that we've got there just to the west of Camden and Pine Hill. So we're hoping that that radar will give us a really good perspective of this storm and maybe even checking out the velocity signature of this storm as it continues to work pretty close to that radar site. But we are also tracking this thunderstorm moving northeastward. And so right now, the tornado warning does not include Camden or the Pine Hill area further westward. So this is continuing northeastward. The Pineapple area in eastern Wilcox County could be downstream of this thunderstorm, potentially producing a tornado. The latest particulars on this tornado warning is that it continues until 10:45, so that's another 26 minutes from now. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado is located 9 miles to the north and west of Peterman, 9 miles northwest of Monroeville, and it's moving to the northeast at 50 miles per hour. So this is a pretty quickly moving storm, even though the rotation that we're mostly concerned with is going to be in the northern parts of Monroe County still. Another thing I've just noticed is that we're back to weather 1. We want to be on weather 2 right now so that we can continue to track this storm on its way north and eastward into Wilcox County. So, again, this is radar-indicated rotation, no confirmation of a tornado on the ground just yet. We'll definitely hope that it stays that way. 2. Yes, we're on 2 now. I can see it. So we're looking at a wider perspective here. This is looking at all of our area. The thunderstorm that we're most concerned with, we'll take a closer look at that here for the northern parts of Monroe County, working into southeastern Wilcox County. We also have that line of storms that's a little bit further westward, nothing severe along that, so that's certainly encouraging. We hope it stays that way, but some strong straight-line wind gusts will also be a concern as we go through the course of this evening. We haven't done it in a while, so let's go over to the velocity product and see what this looks like, what sort of signature this is producing. And we're right now pulling off the Birmingham radar site. We're kind of getting into that no man's land, which is why we have that new exclusive radar site there out in Pine Hill to get a better perspective of this. But this is taken from the Mobile radar site right now, so I'll kind of circle this so we can see the area that we're talking about. It looks to be just to the south and west of Beatrice now in northern Monroe County, where you see those kind of bright yellows and the reds and pink up against each other. That's our area of rotation where we have this possible tornado. So I think as it continues towards the north and east, we'll get a better and better perspective of this rotation signature. I do now want to go over to that exclusive radar site that we've got. Let's go over to the velocity product. And we'll pull up, take off the main National Weather Service radar sites. And we'll take a closer look now using that Pine Hill radar site. See what kind of a look we can get at that storm. So it's definitely there. We can see it just south and west of Beatrice. We can see some greens up against the reds there, pretty close to River Ridge and Natchez. So that's going to be continuing off towards the north and east. We'll take it back a couple scans. So yeah, right there near Natchez, heading northeast, close to Beatrice. That's where we're most concerned with the possibility for a tornado to potentially be on the ground here. We can turn the polygon back on as well so we can see
yeah, and I'll interject a little bit there, Ben. This is, and what I want to point out here, folks, I know we're in a severe weather event, but the importance of this day for us is that we now have radar coverage. This is only on Action 8 that we have the potential to show you a radar that is, you know, this area has been void of radar coverage. And now there you see the sweep coming right out of Pine Hill. And again, thank you to the folks there in Pine Hill, the mayor, the city council. They got that approved for us. We got the radar put in there. Climavision has put the radar in there. They're our partner, and what we can do is show you these storms from different perspectives. You know, the National Weather Service radars, by the time their beam gets there, they're higher up in the atmosphere. So the tornadoes, they occur closer to the ground. Well, what do you have to do? You got to get a radar out there to get the radar beam closer. So that's what we have. We're looking at this where nobody else is looking. Even the National Weather Service radars are seeing this from a higher angle than what we are here. And so tonight we can show you that. We have the circulation right in there. Reds away, greens toward, and there you go. You've got this storm approaching the Beatrice area, and that's also Alabama 21. It's going to cross right over Alabama 265 as well. And so that is what we're seeing. The potential is still there. It looks as though Weather Service out of Mobile is still going with that warning. This until 10:45 tonight. This is why we're wall-to-wall here with severe weather coverage as we track this single cell that is going to be moving, that is currently moving through the northern half of Monroe County and will eventually get up into southern Wilcox County. Again, I want to point out this is not impacting Camden. It will not impact Pine Hill, but there are other storms out toward the west that will be impacting you, and those will come through later. It'll be the line. That'll be wind and rain and a lot of lightning coming through with that as well. All right, so this is the storm. We're keeping an eye on it for you. If you live in the city or community of Beatrice, you've got to be in your safe places. Right there at the 265 and 21 intersection, this is where that storm's going to cross right over. Let's go in a little closer, Ben, if we could. Upstream, though, there's Pineapple that'll be impacted, and also probably northwestern Butler County up toward Forest Home. So we got, again, as Ben's mentioned, Natchez will be impacted. This looks to be passing very close or just south of Chestnut in toward Nowata. I believe that's a tough one, but the northern part of Wilcox County there. And Turnbull off toward the east, I think it's going to be just to the west of you as that works its way on north and eastward. So McWilliams down the road will be impacted. So I have to call these communities out. You need to be in your safe place. We have a storm that's capable of producing a tornado. And so the radar showing us that. We have the signature on there, not confirmed, but definitely a cell that bears watching here as it moves through. All right, let's look at the big picture. We'll go back to the reflectivity and show you kind of the whole setup here that we're watching tonight as this severe weather event unfolds. It's taken a while to get this thing really going. It's the frontal boundary stayed farther southward today, so this part of southwest Alabama has really been inundated with strong to severe, even tornadic storms, anywhere from parts of Choctaw and through Clark and even Monroe County. Now we're starting to see this thing get on the move. And so this is going to pull this line of storms through Perry County at the moment, all the way to Chilton, Perry, Dallas. We're extending southward and through Wilcox County, all the way to Clark, and this is racing off toward the east. And so now it's starting to pick up a little steam here. We're going to get this thing moving through. But anything out ahead of it, we've got to watch these individual cells. We've got a new one firing up right there in Lowndes County, so we'll have to watch this one. We're getting into an environment now that the temperatures have warmed. We've got 70-plus degree warmth here. Dew points have creeped up as well. And so we're not dealing with the same air mass that we were earlier in the afternoon. You walked outside, it was overcast. It was kind of cool out there, and you're like, where's the severe weather? It's not going to happen in that kind of environment, at least for our area. But now you see what's happened. That's being pushed out, and now we're allowing these warmer temperatures. This is warmer than I think we've been most of today here in Montgomery. Probably reaching the high temperature at 11:59 tonight. And then you're seeing southward, we still got mid-70s out there. So the cooler air well back to the north and west. Now we're dealing with the warmer air, and it's spreading north and eastward. So the ingredients are coming together for this thing to be more active as we head through the next several hours. All right, back onto the reflectivity we go with the radar. This shows you the returns from the radar. The radar beam hits the precipitation. The darker colors, the reds, the brighter, that's where your stronger storms are going to be, or heavier rain. And then you fan out from that into green, and it becomes lighter. So that's the setup we have right now. The lone cell with the tornado is still northern half of Monroe County, and then the southern half of Wilcox County, south and east Wilcox County at the moment. Again, I point out, not a factor for Camden, but Camden, you have storms coming in from the west that will be marching eastward. At the moment, we don't have anything spinning up along this line here. But a lot of times you can get some quick spin-ups out there, so we have to watch for that, and we're keeping an eye on that setup. Definitely going to have the lightning coming through, so got tons of that that's going to be accompanying that squall line. And then the individual cells. We always talk about that. You got to watch those that are all by themselves out there. They kind of live and breathe. They take in the atmosphere around them. They've got that to deal with. They don't have anything to compete with. And so these are the ones you really have to watch, and that's the cell that's all by itself. Now, at some point, this may catch up, and they may merge, but I've even seen it where these things just keep going. It depends on the air mass and how they survive, even with conflicting with a boundary like this approaching. Let's look at this one that's coming up just south and west of Montgomery. It's in Lowndes County. It's got a lot of lightning with it, so that's your first clue that this storm may be trying to ramp up a little bit. We've got some lightning going on with it. It doesn't look very impressive right now. It's just south of Haynesville. And it is moving off to the north and east. That'll be heading up toward Hope Hull. But right now it just looks like a cell that's kind of out there on its own. But it's if it's anything, it's in its infancy. And we'll see if it even is able to crank up a little bit. But it's something you always keep an eye on, because we could be seeing something that's at the very beginning, and it may ramp up a little bit. But for right now, it doesn't look too intimidating, but it does have a lot of lightning with it. And we'll watch that storm. That will be the one that more than likely gets up into northeastern Lowndes County, passing close to Hope Hull, and then it will go up the I-65 corridor, and eventually that will be the first storm that we get coming into town that we'll get the rumbles for in Montgomery and Montgomery County. So that's that one. Anything else out there? We just have, we have this lone cell that's our tornado warned storm, and then we have the storm coming through Selma at the moment. So I got the camera off screen there in Selma, very heavy rain downtown. Don't have a warning out for it, but I think we were looking at some broad circulation with that just to the west of town. It's moving through, and I know you folks anywhere from Selma, on up north and eastward into Chilton County, northwestern Autauga County. I know you're hearing the lightning out there. This thing is really cranking it out. You're hearing the thunder, and a lot of flashing going on with that. So this thing's charged up a bit, and you're probably going to get some strong winds along that as well. So be prepared. Power outages can occur when we get squall lines like this that start moving through, and they can produce wind damage. So that's a threat that we have ongoing at the moment. All right, I think we've covered most of the bases here. We still have the active warning. This is until 10:45 tonight for northern Monroe County, southeastern somewhat Wilcox County here. And then we have all this heavier rain that's just moved through northeastern Elmore County and on up into Tallapoosa County, right over it looks like Lake Martin, Highway 63, 280, Alexander City southward. Oh, that goes all the way along that 280, Dadeville, more than likely picking up some of that heavier rain, but not severe. But I will point out earlier, we did have, with that batch of rain, some trees, multiple trees down in the Deatsville community in and around northwestern Elmore County. So we had that a little earlier. Just a heads up there. They may not be able to get all that stuff cleared out I don't know if you pulled that up, Ben, if you saw that report, they could pinpoint some of them. I think one was like Hickory Road, or can't remember a couple of those, but there were some roads out there that were impacted that had trees down.
That's in the Deatsville area?
Yeah, it was a little earlier.
Yeah, I've got those.
Okay.
So we've got Mimosa Road, Deatsville, multiple trees reported down there. Cold Springs Road in Deatsville, tree down near Hogan Road there, and then multiple trees down on Hickory Road in Deatsville. So a few reports there out of Deatsville of some tree damage. In fact, I wonder if those are already showing up on our storm reports over the past 24 hours. I can try pulling those up and then just kind of showing those visually as well.
Yeah, and the thing is they may not be able to get all those up or out of the road. So you folks on the morning commute tomorrow, you may want to keep that in mind. That could be a hazard for you. It's dark out there, and if you're an early riser and leave, because that's probably it right there, at least one of them.
Yeah, up in Elmore County. Let me see. I'll ask what this report is.
Yeah, so keep that in mind. There you go. Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
Hickory Road. That was around 8:45. So that's long gone, but that storm did crank out some damage there, and so just a heads up there for you. And there may be some reports elsewhere. Here we are, 10:30, and so storms out there that have been moving through, maybe knocking some trees down, some limbs, and those kinds of things. It's one of those kind of nights. And I think with the squall line out toward the west moving through, some limbs and stuff are going to get knocked down, going to get on the roadways, and so you don't want to go full force out the door tomorrow, heading off to work on a Thursday. They want to take it just a little slower before the sun gets up, because there could be some debris out there from some of these storms moving through. All right, at the moment, we've got a pretty good batch of storms that's strong here, indicating a lot of heavy rain, probably some wind here that's strong, heading toward Clanton. This heads southward along US 82, and that extends all the way southward towards Selma. So that batch is moving with a tremendous amount of lightning, very heavy rain, and strong winds with that.
Just got word from Mobile that they will be canceling the tornado warning for Wilcox County.
Okay, so let's go down there and take a peek at it while we can, and we'll see that. That storm's still moving off north and eastward, and so even a little closer in there might give us, are we past Beatrice yet? And we may be pretty close to that.
It looks like the storm's moved northeast, yep.
Yeah, so it's north and east of there now. And so this will head up toward Pineapple. You're starting to more than likely hear the rumbles of thunder ongoing with that. And so that storm moving over Alabama 21, and then eventually it'll go over 10 as well, Alabama 10 right there from Pineapple heading over toward Camden, but not going to impact Camden. That your rain and storms will come from the westward direction. And so there you go, that little circulation kind of leaving there. And you see it's getting farther away from the radar site there in Mobile. I think that's the one we're on at the moment, so maybe still some circulation there, but maybe not enough to warrant a tornado warning, because that was going to go until 10:45. So they pulled that off earlier. It looks as though, according to Ben there. All right.
Yeah, I think the warning's gone now.
Yep, just dropped. So there you go. So officially no longer a tornado warning there for northern Monroe County and also southern Wilcox County. All right, and that right there.
Flash flood warning.
Yeah. So what's the particulars on that? I mean, that thing's been dropping some really heavy rain there, so probably update us on that. I would imagine we've had several inches of rainfall, at least the potential.
According to the warning, between 3 and 5 inches have already fallen in those areas, and an additional 1 to 3 inches possible.
Yeah, and it just reminds me, just the other day, day before yesterday, I was watching the model data estimates of rainfall, and anywhere from 3 to 6, and there you go. This is verifying across our area, so we've had some soaking rains out there. And so that's going to lead to some flash flooding. That's another issue out there, areas that are prone to flooding. There could be some issues there tonight into early tomorrow, so keep that in mind. Out the door early tomorrow, there may be a lot of standing water. Roadways it's going to be wet, and so travel may be a little slower tomorrow, so give yourself a little extra time, okay? So as the day gets going. Let's see, so maybe, I don't know if you can take that one off, though. We know we've got the warning there. We'll focus more on any kind of tornado warning for us, severe thunderstorm warning, as we watch this line come through. And it's got a ways to go. It goes all the way back into southwest Alabama, and then it's moving its way north and eastward. But you can see it's got to work its way all the way across our state and eventually head toward the east. So it's going to take a while. And I should say, we're still got to keep our eyes open to anything down here southward that could get ramped up. you see how anything isolated could come up from the south and west and moving north and eastward. But right now, as I look at that, I don't see anything that looks threatening or nothing that south and westward that's really cranking up at the moment. Maybe something new trying to get going right down there south of, let's say that's south of Monroe County, Uriah. But other than that, it looks like I don't see anything coming out of the panhandle that looks threatening. And then you've got activity. Man, that goes all the way. I'm thinking that goes all the way. It seems like almost to New Orleans. Look at that line. Yeah, it does actually. So that thing's way out there. So this whole area has got to just work its way on through tonight, and its origins goes all the way back into the Gulf of Mexico, and new development there out of the Gulf working its way north and eastward. So on down the road, Covington and places like Crenshaw and also Pike County will be impacted with some of these storms that may come up from the south and west, but definitely the line that's going to be moving in from West Alabama heading toward the east. All right. So that's the setup for us. All right, let's look at it wide as a whole. We don't have any active warnings out there, but we'll keep an eye on this. We can't be certain that this won't ramp back up. You know, just because it's weakened and the warnings expired on it doesn't mean that, you know, this thing doesn't find some energy somewhere along the way to ramp itself back up, and that can happen. So we'll watch that so it doesn't sneak up on us. We'll get this storm up into Lowndes County, and eventually it looks like that will probably track on into Montgomery County as well. So we'll see how it plays out once it gets up into a different environment. It looks as though there's some activity out ahead of it, and so a lot of times that may play an impact and kind of weaken it a little bit. But it's still got a lot of lightning with it, so it's something to watch. All right, what else we got, Ben?
Well, we're still tracking that intense line of storms, but I will say, even though it extends well back towards the south and west, there are no active warnings along it. It would certainly be a lot more concerning if we had active severe thunderstorm warnings north to south all the way along that line, but we don't. So it's heavy rain, it's frequent lightning, probably some gusty winds. We pointed out that flash flood warning as well for portions of Autauga, Dallas, and Chilton counties, I believe. So heavy rain might be the main concern in those areas, at least. As they are further south and westward, we're now seeing some very heavy rain, frequent lightning moving into the western parts of Wilcox County, heading eastward towards Camden. So even though Camden was not included in that tornado warning for parts of Wilcox County, which again expired just a few moments ago, even though Camden was not included in that tornado warning, they are still about to be if you are in Camden, you're about to get drenched by some heavy rain, frequent lightning, and maybe some gusty winds as well. And this line of storms does extend south and west. We're now working across the central parts of Clark County towards Grove Hill. Heavy rain, frequent lightning should be expected there. So it's going to take a while, but I will say, compared to earlier this evening, this line of storms finally seems to be making more gradual eastward progress. So that certainly bodes well for us. We don't necessarily want to see this line just kind of continuing to move over our area, maybe still southeastern Alabama all the way through about sunrise on Thursday morning. So we would hope these storms kind of work west to east a little bit more quickly. I think once that main line of storms currently in western Alabama moves through your location, that should pretty much be the end of the severe weather risk.
Hey, Ben, I was just noticing on the Elmore County EMA, Bethany Elliott, she's mentioning that some power lines are down on Hogan Road as well there in the Deatsville community. So some power outage is more than likely in there in the Deatsville community in the northern and western part of Elmore County. So when that storm came through, it looked kind of ferocious on radar. We actually didn't have a warning out for it. We had a special, indication on that one, indicating that that storm was intense, but never got a severe thunderstorm warning out for it. And but the thing is, it produced some wind damage out there for us, and now that whole cell is well north and east of it, or at least part of what's left of that. And really, I think the origins of that whole cell goes all the way back into Clark County, which there was a Coffeyville tornado earlier in the evening. And so that thing was quite ferocious out there, and it had a long history in life, and it's still ongoing. So that's the thing we're watching tonight. Anything coming up from the south and west could have potential to be something strong, maybe even severe. All right, more of this activity with very heavy rain, so we're not done yet. That's going to be some wind there as Ben's got the velocity on here, so we've got some strong winds and maybe even, do we have a little notch here of some sort?
Yes.
This may be a little spin up right here, just south and west of Billingsley. Are they talking about it?
Yes, they're talking about it, so that's why I wanted to look at it. They say, though, temperatures kind of between about 63 and 64 there. They say it's unlikely a tornado would occur, but strange things can happen.
Yeah, if anything, we've got a little bit of wind there, so, and it's small, but there you go. Let's go in even closer, Ben. We may pick up a little bit of area. That's Billingsley, so we've got this thing moving through Tauga County, and right in through there, we'll pick up some areas. Milton, between there and Bethel Grove. You've got New Salem School. You've got County Road 1 right there, so maybe a little something out there with a little bit of wind that could be coming through there. So just keep that in mind as we get this thing working through the area. We're going to keep a close eye on any of these. One of those nights where something could just spin up real quick like. And so just giving you a heads up. We'll come out a little bit and give everybody their bearings on where this thing actually is as it's racing off toward, it looks like it's racing to the east there, pretty good clip. So there's Independence, Vida Junction, Billingsley. You've got US 82 right through there. And so we've got this thing coming up from the southwest, moving north and eastward. It'll cross over 82 here very shortly and then move up probably toward White City also. So if you live in these areas, storm out there. This just being watched. But as long as, most everybody at this point is indoors and kind of just riding these things out as we get storms moving through. All right? We'll keep an eye on that for you. Elsewhere, let's see what else we've got going on. I think the big thing is, that's most notable that we see is, of course, with the reflectivity shows the intensity of the rain. We've got heavy rain out there, and as we pointed out, this is a flash flood warning that's in effect, and that is in effect from Chilton County, northwestern Tauga. It looks like Perry County, and also a lot of Dallas County. It includes the city of Selma. So what you've had out there is as much as 3 to 5 inches of rainfall, and you could get as much as another inch to 2 before it's all said and done. So that's a lot of water out there. So you got to be careful on that. It could be some flooding, especially for areas that are prone to flooding, low-lying areas. That's going to be a concern. All right, so our storm here, it looks like it's gone through some paces, and so not looking quite as strong. We still have another one down here that we'll have to keep an eye on that's coming up from the southwest, north, and eastward. And I think that's where we're going to see anything that might get some spin up on it, because these isolated ones are the ones you really got to pay attention to. And also anything that develops in the line itself. Those are harder to see. They're quick spin ups. There won't be much of a warning with those. But these out here by themselves, you'll get some time on those, at least warning time, because you can watch these things kind of materialize and see if they intensify. You get one that's quick spin up in a line that just gets a little notch. Those are a lot harder to see, and they're quick spin ups. They're there and then they're gone, and it doesn't take long for those to ramp up and then dissipate. Okay, so that's what we got. Let's see as we take this tour. And again, we don't have any active warnings out there, but it is an active night here with the potential for strong to severe storms. And so we're just staying with our coverage here because we think it's important to keep you up to date on what's going on out there. We have the potential. We do have a tornado watch in effect. And so we're going to watch these storms. And what better way if we see something spinning up and we're able to take a look at that earlier, we can give you a lot longer heads up as opposed to going off the air and then trying to get back on and get you up to date. Right now, we'll just go with it and show you that the tornado watch is in effect until 3 a.m. for eastern Alabama. We can already see some of the counties being dropped from that. Sumter, Choctaw. It's just a matter of time before probably Marengo. But the city of Demopolis, it looks like the storm threat has shifted east of you. And so that's good news. That's what's going to take place. Counties are going to be dropped from west to east tonight, but it will take some time. And so we've got a ways to go. We're at 10:44 tonight, and the activity could go well into the morning hours, 3 or 4, before it's all said and done. Let's see. So this is our tornado watch, and that's in effect. So, again, that just basically means you got to be alert and prepared to take cover, and hopefully you already have that plan of action in place. And that is typically lowest floor, away from windows, and in hallways, bathrooms. Those are all good places to be. And, even when we get in situations where storms are a lot more ramped up and we're into more active tornado warnings, we always suggest that you have helmets on standby. A lot of injuries from tornado and tornadic storms comes from head injuries. And so the research says you need to cover your head. And that goes for bicycle helmets, baseball helmets, football helmets, doesn't matter. You can have that stuff around the house. It's probably out in the garage, or they even have it in their book bag or their bag that they brought home from school. So some of that stuff's already there. So keep that stuff handy when we get in these severe weather situations, and there's going to be plenty more. Our severe weather season here in Alabama, at least for central Alabama, basically runs from pretty much late October through November all the way to May. We've even seen tornadoes in June. We had a tornado that seems like a warning this past year, wasn't it, Ben? Ben's like an encyclopedia on that stuff.
Yes, I do remember one really rogue one for the central parts of Alabama back in June of last year, which probably caught everybody by surprise.
So there you go. Typically about November to May, but sometimes you can have, it doesn't matter, you can have tornadoes at any month. You get into the tropical season, you can have them all the way through August and through September. So that's how it plays out here. All right, back onto the radar we go, and you see it's very active out there tonight. Any of these storms could produce damage, and so that's another thing that we're watching here for you. As these storms pass through your area, you're going to know it. You're going to get a lot of lightning going on with those. Strong winds will be occurring with them as well as they move off toward the east. And so as we look at this, we basically have this line, the squall line event here, that's going to be working through Grove Hill, Camden, in through Selma, in through Clanton, and up toward Alexander City, and all points in between are going to be impacted by that. And then any cells down here to the south will be conducive to isolated, so they can take advantage of the atmosphere and maybe intensify as well. And so they could be strong, maybe damaging out there also. Okay? So that's the deal. We've got a ways to go with this tonight, and we'll be watching it for you as these storms move through. I may take this opportunity one more time to show you something that we've unveiled today, and this is exclusive only on Action 8. I don't know if you can take the screen, the radar shot of those, Ben, of our two radars. And there you go. So in the past, this has been the area. West Alabama has been underserved by radar coverage. We know that. The National Weather Service has radars in East Alabama, Birmingham, Mobile, and Southeast Alabama. Okay, next we had radars. It was put there in the 90s. And so now, here we are in the 2025. National Weather Service is not in the business of putting in new radars across the country. They're keeping the ones they have running. And that's the plan through 2035, maybe even beyond. Unless they come up with something new, they may implement that. Who knows in this type of setup that we're in now as far as things are going. So at the moment, it's just going to be the next red radars that are there. And so what we looked at for the last several years is how do we fix that? How do we fix this gap? Others have looked at it for a long time and tried to come up with solutions. But when I saw this idea, it's back during COVID, it's back during 2021, somewhere in there, I teamed up with the folks at ClimaVision, and we started a plan to put a radar in West Alabama. Started with just one, and then we thought, well, let's put two. And so we can increase the coverage, because these radars we have here, you'll see when the sweep comes around, they overlap. And that's important, because we're in an area here that's been underserved by radar. Those National Weather Service radars, when they go out from their beam doesn't go with the curvature of the Earth. The Earth curves. The radar beam goes straight out. And so as it's going out, it gets higher up into the atmosphere. Okay, so tornadoes are closer to the ground. Well, as Birmingham's beam comes out and Mobile's beam comes out, that means they're going to be higher up over parts of Wilcox County, maybe as high as a mile or so. Tornadoes are down there closer to the ground, below 4,000 feet or so. So we need a radar to serve this area and to see those. And that's what you see tonight. This is coming from our ClimaVision radar that we have here. We call it Lifesaver Radar, because that's what we're in the business of doing, is helping save lives. And we think these radars will do that because they are scanning in an area that's been underserved, Marengo County, Wilcox, Dallas County, southern parts of Perry County, and on around Monroe and Clark County. All these areas now have a sweeping radar out there. We have access to it. We help put these radars in there. The Johnny Adams Law Firm, also the people in Pine Hill, the mayor there, thank you very much. Also the city council, and of course the partnership with ClimaVision. All these folks coming together along with us and our company. We had hoped to debut these radars next week, a little quieter week, but today it just seemed like with the National Weather Service radar, or actually the DoD radar in East Alabama, it's down today. And so that limited us having some radar coverage today. So we looked at this early this morning. We said the radar is down. Our radar is working. It's scanning. We got to use it today. And it has shown pretty well. We had a good look at the tornado that occurred in Coffeyville earlier, comparing the radar between the National Weather Service radar and our radar, and it was impressive. The resolution on these radars is a lot better, 10 times higher the resolution, and so we can see things that others can't see. And so that's what's important about having these out there. All right, that's the deal. We'll talk more about those radars as we head toward Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of next week. We'll talk more about how these things came about and talk to Johnny Adams with the Johnny Adams Law Firm, and also we'll talk to some folks that live down here that are going to be benefiting from these radars. All right, Ben, we'll take one more wider look here. I thought we might get something to spin up, or maybe even a severe thunderstorm warning of sorts, but it just doesn't look like it unless you see something coming from the chat or something that you've seen that while I was talking that we didn't see.
No, the last thing I've seen said from Mobile, forecast office down there, was them canceling the tornado warning, which is what prompted us to initially go on the air. And then from Birmingham, the last thing they've done is issue a flash flood warning. I think the most recent one's probably just to our north or so. But right now, it seems like heavy rain is the main concern. There could be some gusty straight-line winds along the leading edge of this main line of storms, which is getting closer now to Interstate 65, maybe not too much longer until some of the heavier rain and frequent lightning associated with that gets closer to Montgomery. But as of right now, no active severe thunderstorm warnings even along that, so we're likely seeing wind gust speeds at most below 60 miles per hour, so less likely to produce damage. So all good news, but heavy rain, and that could lead to flooding, so be aware of that.
Okay, Ben, appreciate that. And so what we'll do is, since we don't see anything that looks pressing at the moment with this, we'll take a break, and of course we'll watch this. We're going to be here all night until Christopher gets in here for the morning, take over for Rising. But for now, we're going to take a break from it. We'll keep watching this for you. We'll break into programming if we need. In the meantime, we appreciate you joining us, and thank you for trusting us to keep you posted during our severe weather event.